Now we will have Reverend Rod, founder of I Want Better Ministry, spiritual leader of this I Want Better Ministry family, to bring us a word from God this morning.
My Lord.
Rev.
Hey, God bless everyone this morning. I thank God that I'm just spending time with you. I tell you what, it is wonderful to be with you and to be able to share with you a word that I know beyond the shadow of any doubt can change, turn around your life, whatever the challenge that you might have, and whatever you can put the challenge there. But I know that we all live in seasons. Everybody has a season, and you've preached that this morning with the various words that you've used. And every word that you used, you're going through a season. The question is, are you determined in that season? This comes from the book of Colossians, chapter 1, verse 11. And it reads, "Strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power, unto all patience and long-suffering with joyfulness." Now, this morning, everyone, you talked about patience. And as you spoke, I just thought to myself, wow, Lord, I hear you confirming that with them of what we will be talking about. And I heard joyfulness. I heard you speak of joy. Unspeakable joy down in your heart. I heard you talking about praising a living and loving God. And that means that whatever it is that you are going through, have gone through, or you're looking at, whatever staring you in the face, long-suffering is a part of that. There are some things that you might have been going through, but it hasn't deterred you. You are still working your way through it. Now, the book of Colossians was written to the residents of the city of Colossae. And Colossae is kind of near Lacedaemon. It's maybe in the southwest part of Asia Minor. So if you kind of look at a map, then you kind of get a sense of it. And then there's this river that, kind of ran through it. So the folks there were people that kind of dealt with trade. So what did they do? They made, a purple cloth, which at that time, that was a pretty big commodity. And they built themselves up. Well, they had neighbors, that went into competition with them. But guess what? An earthquake destroyed the city. They tried to rebuild it. It didn't come back as affluent as it was. And what they did rebuild, well, another earthquake took it out, and that was the end of that. But it wasn't the end of the gospel. So that is where Paul was trying to help those folks understand that, hey, when you're talking about the gospel, you're going to have a lot of people come in and, they're going to say what they say, do what they do. But the measuring stick of all of that is Jesus Christ. And so if someone is talking about one thing or another, are they measuring their conversation that they're having with Jesus Christ? So that's somewhat of the background of the book of Colossians and how it was written and that kind of background, just to kind of give you a sense of, here's someone that's writing to the Colossians and trying to encourage them, because he wasn't present with them, but he was present with them in spirit. So he's trying to help them to understand. And we're like that today. We aren't always physically with someone, but we can be there with you in spirit, be there to encourage. And I've heard that even said today, that, I'm not there physically with you, but I'm able to give of my time to encourage you. So that kind of sets the stage of what it is that we're talking about. But being determined in season. So whatever it is you're going through, to be determined to see yourself through that season. Well, why are these things important? What are the thoughts you might want to consider? What do you believe about your season? Your seasons. When you walk through these seasons, do you walk by faith? Do you seek the truth? If the truth was to sit down next to you, it's just sit down next to you and the truth is just kind of sitting there, right there next to you, would you recognize it as being the truth? Or would you just kind of set it to the side and say, well, no, I'm really going to try to find my truth. But if you find your truth, are you saying that it's going to be different than the truth that is sitting right next to you? So you follow me that sometimes we'll put our own selves in the way, in the middle of something, because that's the story that we need to hear. And sometimes it isn't the truth, but it's the thing that we say we want to have. So understand, if the truth sat next to you, would you recognize the truth? And that, my beloved, is really trying to understand, being determined in season. Where do you operate on, right? We all have these seasons in our lives. We actually experience other people's seasons as well. You've actually seen this happen. Let's say you've lived and you see somebody going through something that you've been through. And this is kind of where you say, well, I've been there. I understand that. And sometimes a person will go through a season and you'll just say, I've not had that happen to me. I don't know. That season is unique to that person. It's not unique to God, but it's just unique to that person. So you won't really be able to offer that hand because that season you're not going to be going through. You can't experience that person's season because that's what they're in. But you can sometimes understand, people going through seasons, and you'll say to yourself, man, they keep hitting that brick wall. Sooner or later, you're going to crack the brick wall. She's going to crack that brick wall. But I don't understand why they keep going into that brick wall. That's their season. You can say sometimes if you've not really struggled through something, you really haven't learned what that season really meant or really how to get around it because you've never really struggled before. So if there's someone else who has struggled, their season is much more understandable because they understand the struggle. But we all have seasons. We all have seasons. Let me share with you, if I can figure out how to do this. I think I did it, but I don't know. Okay. You should be able to see on your screen if I did this right. The 3rd chapter of Ecclesiastes. And if you can, what you're seeing is the seasons that happen in the book of Ecclesiastes, 3rd chapter, just in case you're not familiar with it, the 3rd chapter of Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. And you can actually read through this. There's a time to be born and there's a time to leave, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that was planted. It talks about a time to weep, a time to laugh, to mourn, to dance, to cast away and to gather up, to embrace and then to refrain from embracing. It talks about losing and keeping and then throwing things away. And it really helps us to understand that everybody goes through a season. Now, if I got this correct, I will learn how to stop sharing. Okay. Good. I think I got that right. So, okay, got a little, as Will would say, hot mic. So, we all understand that there are seasons that we all as people will go through. Now, some seasons are cyclical and they show up just like clockwork. They'll follow the sun. So they'll follow that. You'll have things in spring are unique to spring, and things in the summer are unique to the summer, and fall, and then winter and such. But other things aren't cyclical. They're sometimes once in a lifetime events, or they're just unique in how they've been presented to you. And you may find yourself stuck in a season, or so it seems. And if you've ever been stuck what you think is a season, and you just can't figure out how to get over or through or beyond that season, let me help you, my beloved. Seasons sometimes are made up of stages. And so while that season you're still in, you may now be just moving through certain stages in that season until you're out of it. But you might look at the whole thing as one season, but you're really going through stages of that season. Now, all of these stages that you might be going through when you feel like you're stuck in something are there to strengthen you, are there to help you to understand, okay, so I need to understand how to, and you put the X in there. But the idea of going through a season without God really should stop us and ask, where is God in this season of mine? That's important. It's important because when we do things from a human point of view, you're going to have people that are what I would call, and so I'm not going to try to be real nice about it. I'm just going to tell you what it is. You got a season that sometimes people will be haters and they don't want to see you do any better. Now, you'll have people that are manipulative, or they're connivers, or they'll try to exploit the situation. And if you've lived long enough, you'll figure out some people are string pullers, and then you'll figure out other people are button pushers. You'll find perpetrating folk one side or the other. You'll find people with extreme worldviews, and they are on the left hand of something or the right hand of something. But you look and you say to yourself, well, I just wonder how a person can think like that and tell me that they believe and trust in God, that they are walking by faith, but yet these are the things that they might be doing. My beloved, there are things to keep you from achieving and being who you are and who you should be. But there's an antidote. There's an antidote. The antidote in the scripture that we read is, he says, unto patience and long suffering with joyfulness. So on the human side of things, we try to outrun a season. Because if you try to outrun a season, guess what will happen? You just simply get hooked by the season and you start to drag it behind you. You never really get rid of it. You look behind you and the season is just, you're saying it's catching up with me. And now, instead of looking forward in life, you're living life in a rearview mirror. And you're looking behind you all the time because that season is dragging itself behind you, and you never figured out how to free yourself. But when you really look at God, God's blessings are new every morning. And if he is not short on blessing you, which he is not, his blessings for you, when you open your eyes that morning, they've already been provided to you. got to get up and reach for them and then move forward for them. But you have to be determined. And that's what Patty told us. You got to move your feet. But if you sit in that and sulk in that, you can't move your feet. You're just going to be stuck in that thing. But God renews it every morning. So what did that just say? Yesterday I didn't get it right, but he gave me today to get it right. And I'll get it right. And then when you look at your tomorrow, looking back on your today, did you catch that? You'll see, hey, I've come a long way. The human side of things, when you talk about patience and long suffering and joy, oh, that's limited, because you're going to run out of patience. You're going to pop your cork one day at somebody because they just stepped a little bit too far to you and you just lost your cool and you blew up on them. Or, well, here's one. Have you ever done something that brought you joy and you did it so much that after a while it just became just another thing to do? And y'all forgive me, but this is the way I'm going to express it. As B.B. King might have said, the thrill is gone. Whatever it was that started out, I've lost it. I don't really have that same joy that I get. But I want to take that and then put that towards God. The spiritual side of you. Therein, if you infused patience with the spiritual joy of the Lord, guess what? That's renewed every morning. It's unlimited in its supply. Long suffering is unlimited in its supply, and so is your joy. Because you can just be thankful for things that the Lord has done for you. And so it's not the same old thing that you did every single day in and day out. It's renewed because you can see the blessings, and that is really where you go. And as I start to wrap up, we talked about those things of the earth and the air that know their seasons and learning to endure. Those were the scripture readings that we started out with this morning. But see if you see yourself in any of this. Human determination usually lasts for as long as you are committed to that determination. But once you're no longer committed to it, that particular goal or whatever it is you said you wanted to achieve, in spite of whatever barriers or hardships just keep getting thrown in front of you, that determination may wane, may fall off, may go to the side because you just don't have the same passion to achieve it that you did before. So that determination that you had, that season then falls apart. Whatever that season is, how can you put it together if you're not determined to see your way through that season? Oftentimes I've seen where a person is told they can't do something, and that was the motivation for them to actually do it. But how are you built? Unless you take time in your life to bring determination into your spirit that I am going to do this, not alone, but I'm going to do this with you, Lord, by asking you to come into my heart, by asking you to be a part of my life. Every single day when I open my eyes, I ask the Lord to come into my heart to help me with this day. And just for a moment, do me this. Take a moment and think of the seasons of your life. Think of the season that you're in. What stands out? If you have an unscripted season, Sometimes you might think that I've never been in this position before. The people that I thought would love me have turned their backs on me. Others are leaving me to save themselves. They say I'm too much of a weight. I'm too much of a boat anchor. It's too heavy. Sometimes you might even say in a season, the truth is, I'm just tired. I'm real tired. I've never seen this season, and I've never seen this much hurt or abuse in my life, but I can't take it. And I'm in that season, and I don't know what to do. Everything that I thought and prayed for, nothing has happened. My beloved, let me just simply say this one thing. If any of that experience you've had or you've thought, I pray that you're not living in that moment today, at this time, right now. Why? Because you are still standing. Yeah, you might have experienced some things that wasn't cool and wasn't good and all of that stuff, but you could have experienced worse. But you haven't, and you're still standing. Sometimes it's easy for us to just ask Jesus to take the wheel. I mean, if you've ever been kind of knocked down by something, worse yet, knocked out, or you never saw the punch coming and it caught you cold, those things are just detours, but you got to get right back up. And then, you say, well, Father, I know what season I'm in now, but I'm determined to see my way past it. So whatever the season is that you're in, remember, everything in life, there is a season, but be determined to see your way through that season. You don't want to really get so far down the road in a season and then be so distracted that you never see yourself out of that season on to the next one. Some seasons are easy, and you can do them standing on your head, no problem at all. Other seasons, not so much. But my beloved, that's really having the Lord by your side to be able to take you and move you in season and then move you out of that season. Whatever that detour is, wherever you lost track of the goal, whatever it was, if you move from just a simple goal into survival mode, just if you were used to live and now I'm just existing, and I don't really know what else to do. My beloved, be determined to move your way out of that season. And that Colossians 1:11 is really the way to do that. Again, to read it back into your hearing so that you are aware of what it is saying. It is simply saying, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power. So wherever that lack existed, whatever that thing was that didn't allow you to move past it in a determined way, in whatever that season, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power. That's you. That's you. And then it says, unto all patience and long-suffering with joyfulness. It's just saying that, well, now you've got this wonderful power, and now you have been given through grace, divine patience, divine long-suffering, and divine joyfulness. You see, these are the things that when you do them on your own, you're going to lose a little patience. You're not, you might be a little angry, and, you may lose a little bit of joy. But when these are divinely given, watch out, you're going to be an overcomer. And with that, I thank God for you. I thank God for this time that we spent together. Will?